Welcome back to the deep dive.
Great to be here.
So, this is where we take the sources you send our way, dig in, and pull out those core insights.
Yeah, get you up to speed, make you sound like you've read the whole thing.
Pretty much. Make you instantly well-informed. And today, you've pointed us towards the Judo mat.
Ah, yes. The Art and Science of Judo, a guide to the principles of grappling and throwing.
By Lindy Avakian and Jiichi Watanabe. And quite the pairing here.
Oh, definitely. You've got Avakian third Dan, trained U.S. Special Forces, studied in Japan, real practical background.
Right. And then Watanabe is sixth Dan, Japanese instructor, really known for bringing like a scientific approach to judo back in the day.
A pioneer, really, applying physics and physiology to it all.
Exactly. And the book, apparently, it was originally called The Secrets of Judo back in '69.
Right, but not secrets in a, mystical sense.
No, that's what grabbed me. It was about demystifying it, looking at the science underneath, which feels perfect for this deep dive format, getting that solid understanding quickly, those aha moments.
Precisely. So our mission today, really, is to unpack those core principles. What makes judo tick?
How does it blend that, the art, the
Look
philosophy?
at the science, the
Right.
physics, the biomechanics. Yeah, we're going beyond just listing techniques.
We want the why. Why does this work?
Exactly. The principles behind the practice.
Okay, so where do we start? The book kicks off with the founder, Jigoro Kano, right? His philosophy.
Yeah, and it's crucial. He saw judo as more than just fighting techniques derived from jujitsu.
There's the Ju part, gentleness, flexibility,
Right, that's the jujitsu heritage. But Kano added the do.
the way.
Exactly, which signifies that whole mental training aspect, the discipline, the ethical development alongside the physical. It's holistic.
So not just a combat sport, but a path for self-improvement.
That was Kano's vision, developing the person, not just the fighter.
Okay, so the book frames it as both an art and a science, the art part being self-expression, self-realization,
Yeah, finding yourself through the physical practice, the movement, but then, boom, grounded in science.
mastering natural laws, gravity, friction, momentum,
Yeah,
all that good stuff.
absolutely. And it even touches on something deeper, this idea of developing a kind of higher logic through practice.
I saw that quote, "The arms are an extension of the mind."
Right. It suggests this deep integration where thought and action become one, not just muscle memory, but intuitive understanding flowing into movement.
And getting there involves really mastering the basics, the fundamentals.
Absolutely critical. The book says mastering those basics impresses them onto your subconscious.
Which helps build that positive expert attitude.
Yeah.
Like you instinctively know what to do.
Exactly. It becomes second nature. And that's where those two core maxims come in.
Ah, right. Messerio Kuzenyo.
Maximum efficiency. Using your mental and physical energy in the best way possible. Minimum effort, maximum effect.
Okay. And the other one, Jida Kyoe.
Mutual welfare and benefit. That speaks to the community aspect, the respect, the idea that practice should benefit everyone involved. It's not just about winning.
Interesting. Okay, so efficiency and mutual benefit. Now let's get into the mechanics. How can a smaller person realistically throw a bigger person? That's always the classic judo image.
And the book dives right into the science of that. It starts with reaction time and, crucially, harmonizing with your opponent, anticipating, blending.
It breaks down the nervous system's role, doesn't it? Sensory nerves taking info in.
Motor nerves sending signals out to the muscles.
And this joint nerve center, what's that exactly?
It's described as the part of the brain that, feels movement, remembers it, coordinates it. It's what gets trained through practice.
Okay, so reaction time. That gap between seeing an opening and actually moving. How do you improve that?
Practice, practice, practice. The book explains how training actually speeds up those neural pathways. It becomes almost automatic, like learning to ride a bike. You don't consciously think about every little adjustment after a while.
Right, it becomes ingrained.
Exactly. But there are different types of reactions. There's the basic reflex, super fast, like dodging something thrown at you.
But maybe not strategic in a match.
Not always, no. Then there's the conditioned reflex, also fast, learned through repetition, but potentially predictable, maybe open to being tricked.
Okay.
And then there's what the book calls the reaction achieved by practice. It might start slower initially because you're judging the situation.
Making a conscious choice.
Sort of, yeah. But with training, that judgment becomes incredibly fast. It allows for the right reaction, not just a reaction. That's considered the best kind for judo.
And things like being out of shape or nervous can slow that down.
Absolutely. Poor conditioning, emotional excitement, they all interfere with that optimal reaction process. Staying calm and focused is key.
Okay, so you're reacting quickly, intelligently. What's next? This principle of Kuzushi seems huge.
Oh, it's fundamental, breaking the opponent's posture or balance. Kano apparently saw this as the absolute key to making throws work effectively.
Before you throw, you unbalance.
Exactly, and the book explains the physics of stability really clearly. 3 things matter. The object's weight.
How heavy it is.
Right, the size of its base, its footprint, basically.
And where its center of gravity is relative to that base.
Precisely. The matchbox example is perfect. Tip it a little, center of gravity stays over the base, it rights itself.
Push it further, center of gravity goes past the edge of the base.
And down it goes. Irrecoverable instability.
And that applies directly to a person.
Absolutely. If your opponent is stable, center of gravity low and over their feet, they're hard to move. It takes more force, more time.
Giving them time to defend.
Right, so Kuzushi is about disrupting that stability before you apply the main force of the throw.
The book mentions 2 postures. Shizen Hantai, the natural stance.
And Jigo Hantai, the defensive one, lower, wider base.
More stable statically, right? Harder to just push over.
Yes, but, and this is key, it's less mobile, less flexible dynamically. You sacrifice speed and agility for that static stability.
Another trade-off.
Always. And Judo is about exploiting those trade-offs. So, Happo no Kuzushi.
Breaking balance in 8 directions.
Yeah, forward, backward, side to side, and all the corners. And crucially, using your whole body to do it, not just yanking with your arms.
It emphasizes coordinating your legs, hips, your core.
Your entire structure working together to generate that pull or push.
And when's the best time to apply Kuzushi?
Well, the book highlights a couple of moments. When your opponent is already moving, maybe transitioning between steps.
When they think they know where they're going.
Exactly. Their balance is momentarily compromised. Or, interestingly, when they're trying to escape your attack by applying that Ju principle themselves, that can create an opening.
So you're looking for those moments of transition, of instability.
That's the art of it, seeing or creating those moments.
Now, connected to generating that force for Kuzushi and the throw itself, the book puts a massive emphasis on the waist and abdominal region.
The core. Absolutely central. It connects your upper and lower body. It's where some of the strongest muscles attach to the pelvis. And it's, a significant chunk of your body weight.
Right. And it introduces this concept, correct centripetal pressure. Sounds technical.
It does, yeah. It was apparently coined by physiologist Harada based on the training of a Zen master, Hira.
Okay.
The idea is this harmonious contraction of all those core muscles, pulling inwards towards your center of gravity.
So tightening your core, basically.
Huh.
But maybe more focused.
Yeah. More focused, more unified, yeah. It's not just sucking in your gut. It's about engaging everything to create a solid, connected structure that moves as one unit.
And the benefits aren't just physical power.
Apparently not. The book links it to better nervous system function, improved willpower, better motor control, coordination.
Wow. And even emotional stability.
It mentions a connection to regulated breathing and potentially mitigating emotional disturbances. Kind of like having a strong, stable center helps keep everything else in check.
Fascinating. So how do you develop this?
Maintaining good posture is key, standing tall, slight arch in the lower back. Practicing specific stances, those right triangle leg positions, whether sitting, standing, or kneeling.
Even just stepping forward correctly helps.
Yes, and the kai, that shout.
The shout.
It's not just for show, it's described as a way to engage the diaphragm, harness that core power explosively.
So it all comes back to using that core, that center, effectively. And the natural stance, Shizen Hantai, is best for practicing throws because of that balance between stability and mobility.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It allows you to move quickly and generate that unified power from the waist and abdomen. Jigo Hantai, the defensive stance, is too rigid for initiating dynamic throws efficiently.
Okay, core power engaged, balance broken. Now for the throw itself. Physics time, Newton's laws in Judo.
Absolutely. The book lays them out. First law, inertia. An object stays put or keeps moving unless a force acts on it.
Makes sense. You have to overcome their inertia.
Second law, acceleration is proportional to force and inversely proportional to mass, Fmer.
So more force equals more acceleration, but more mass means less acceleration for the same force.
Exactly, which explains technically how technique can overcome size applying force more effectively.
And the third law, action-reaction.
For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. The example of pushing off one boat to move another is perfect. When you push your opponent, the ground pushes back on you. You use that reaction force.
Okay, so Newton's in the dojo. What about other forces?
Well, obviously muscular force, what we generate ourselves, but also gravity, you can use it to help pull an opponent down once their balance is broken.
Right, work with gravity, not against it.
And momentum. Huge in judo. Mass times velocity.
This is where speed helps the smaller person.
Definitely. A smaller person moving quickly can generate significant momentum, adding to their muscular force during a throw.
The book also mentions impulse, force over time.
Yeah. Impulse force x time equals the change in momentum, mass x velocity. And related is impulsive force, that high force experienced when something stops very suddenly. Think about impact.
Which relates to falling safely later, I bet.
Exactly. We'll get to Yukimi, but momentum can really supplement your strength in throws.
What about friction?
Resistance between surfaces, the mat, the gi, it plays a role. Sometimes it helps you grip and stabilize for defense.
Sometimes you want to minimize it for a smooth entry.
Right. Understanding the coefficient of friction, even implicitly, helps.
It also touches on things like transmitting force, composing forces, like vectors in physics class.
Pretty much. How forces combine, like the pull of your arms and the push of your legs in a throw, creating a resultant force. Or how a force can be broken down into horizontal and vertical parts.
And moment of force, that rotational thing.
Yeah, force applied at a distance from a pivot point creates rotation, like using a wrench.
Longer wrench, easier to turn the bolt.
Exactly. And in judo, the book uses the opponent's big toe as a potential fulcrum in some throws. Applying force against their upper body creates a rotation around that point. Leverage.
Incredible detail.
Yeah.
And a moment of a couple.
That's just two equal opposite forces acting at a distance, causing pure rotation. Think steering a wheel with both hands. Less common as a primary driver in throws, maybe, but the principle exists.
It really is a science. You need to understand all these forces at play.
Or at least develop an intuitive feel for them through practice, which is what mastery looks like.
Okay, so if you're applying all these forces correctly, someone's going airborne. Which brings us to Yukimi, the art of falling.
Absolutely crucial, non-negotiable, really. The book stresses you have to master falling safely, both to avoid injury when you're thrown and actually to have the confidence to execute your own throws properly.
If you're scared of falling, you'll hesitate.
Precisely. So the physics gravity accelerates you downwards. How does Yukimi help?
It increases the stopping time.
Right, exactly. By hitting the mat with your arm or arms just before your main body mass lands, you spread the impact out over a slightly longer duration.
Reducing that impulsive force we mentioned earlier.
Correct. Remember, impulse is force times time. If you increase the time for the same change in momentum coming to a stop, the average force must decrease. Plus, your joints act as shock absorbers.
So those slapping sounds aren't just noise, they're physics in action.
They are purposeful impacts designed to dissipate energy safely. The book covers the basics. Falling backwards, slapping with both arms.
Falling sideways, slapping with one arm.
And the forward roll, using your arm almost like a wheel or fulcrum to roll smoothly over your shoulder.
Looks simple, but clearly essential. You can't do judo without good Yukimi.
You really can't. It's the foundation for safe and effective practice.
Okay, foundation laid. Now the fun part, the throws. The book introduces a whole range, connecting them back to these principles, like ukigoshi, hip throw.
Yeah, the floating hip throw uses curved momentum, pivoting action. You can see the Kuzushi and the core rotation there.
Uki-toshi floating drop, straight line momentum,
Yeah.
using their push.
Often, yes. Guiding their momentum downwards as you drop. Again, Kuzushi is key, hitting them moving forward first.
Then ogogoshi, the major hip throw. That sounds like more direct lifting.
More about getting your hip deep underneath their center of gravity, supporting it, and then rotating. Requires good posture and core connection.
Tai-toshi body drop. Horizontal pull using momentum.
Exactly. You step across, block their leg, and use a strong pulling action with your arms combined with body rotation to bring them down over your leg. Lots of forces working together.
We also see tsurikomigoshi, lifting, pulling hip throw. Moment of force here.
Yeah, that lifting pull on the lapel creates leverage, helps break balance upwards and forwards before the hip action. Harigoshi, sweeping loin, using their lead.
Right, sweeping their supporting leg as they're off balance. Hain-goshi, spring hip. Sounds energetic.
It is. Uses a bent leg to spring their body upwards and over, involves strong hip action and rotation.
Then leg techniques. Hisaguruma, the knee wheel. blocking the knee to disrupt balance.
Precisely. You stop their forward momentum at the knee, causing them to rotate over it.
Harai surikomiyashi,
Yeah.
lifting foot sweep.
Pulling to unbalance, then sweeping their ankle as they step. Timing is everything.
The ashi harai advanced foot sweep when they take a big step.
Catching the foot just as weight is transferring. Beautiful timing when done right.
Osotogari, major external reading, unbalancing backward.
Yes, strong backward Kuzushi, then reaping their supporting leg from the outside. Classic power throw.
Uchigari and kuchigari, major and minor inner reaping, attacking the inside of the leg.
Right. Uchi pulls them onto the leg you attack. Kuuchi often attacks the heel as they step backward. Different timings, similar principle of disrupting the base.
And those dynamic ones. Tumenage, the circle throw. You go down first.
You do. You sacrifice your position momentarily, using their forward momentum, plant your foot on their stomach or hip, and roll backward, throwing them overhead. Uses gravity and momentum brilliantly.
And ukiwaza, floating throw, unbalancing to the corner.
Similar sacrifice principle to Tomournage, but throwing them off to the side corner rather than straight overhead. Again, using their momentum against them. What an arsenal. It really is.
Right.
And each one is a specific application of those core principles. Kuzushi, momentum, leverage, core power.
But judo isn't just throws. The book covers grappling too, no waza, hold downs first. Osekomi waza.
Yes, controlling the opponent on the ground. Han Kesagataime, the side collar hold, uses pressure, leverage, controlling the head and arm.
Reaction force and moment are mentioned.
Yeah, using your weight placement to counter their attempts to bridge or shrimp out. Variations like Kuzurake Sagatame offer different grips or pressure points.
Katakatami, shoulder hold, trapping an arm with their head.
Yes, very powerful control. Then Kamishio Gatame, the four-quarter hold from the head end, uses chest pressure, controls both arms.
Momentum mentioned there too, maybe for transitioning into it.
Or using your weight shifts to maintain control as they try to escape. There are modified versions too, like Kuzura Kamishiwa Gatame, adjusting grips for better leverage or to counter specific escapes.
And Yokushio Gatame, side four-quarter hold. Similar control, but from the side.
All right, all about immobilizing the opponent, controlling the hips, shoulders, head, applying weight strategically.
Okay, holds are about control. What about submissions? Strangles shimiwaza.
Using the gi or arms to restrict blood flow via the carotid arteries or sometimes airflow. Nami Jujijim is the standard cross choke using the collar grips.
Variations like katajuji, half cross, and gyaku juji, reverse cross, just change the grip configuration.
Exactly. Thumbs in or fingers in changes the angle of pressure slightly. Hadaka Jaime is the classic rear naked choke, no gi needed.
Leverage and posture control are key there, obviously.
Absolutely. Okuri Eri Jaime, sliding collar choke, often from the back. Kata Jaime, single wing strangle, also usually from the back, trapping one arm. Ryote Jaime, two-hand strangle, often face-to-face.
And the book emphasizes Kuzushi even before applying these.
Definitely. If the opponent has strong posture, even on the ground, applying a choke effectively is much harder. You need to break their posture, control their head, limit their ability to defend.
Makes sense. Finally, joint locks. Kensetsu waza. But only the elbow in judo competition, right?
That's right. Competition rules restrict locks to the elbow joint for safety. The book covers examples like Hisegatame, knee arm lock.
Yeah, often trapping the arm with your leg knee and applying pressure against the elbow. Again, breaking posture helps set it up.
Then Juji Gatame, the cross arm lock, very common, uses the legs and hips to isolate an arm and hyperextend the elbow. Pure leverage.
And Udi Garami, the entangled arm lock, sometimes called the Kimura or key lock, figure four grip on the arm.
Exactly. Uses rotational force on the shoulder to put pressure on the elbow indirectly. Again, needs control and often requires breaking their posture first so they can't resist with their whole body.
Wow, okay, that was a proper deep dive, from philosophy to physics to falling to specific techniques.
It really covers the spectrum, and the consistent message is that judo isn't just random techniques, it's a system built on principles.
Yeah. The key things really sticking out are that blend of art and science, the physics being constantly applied, understanding the body's reactions.
And absolutely central, Kuzushi breaking balance and using that core power from the waist and abdomen. Those seem to unlock everything else.
It definitely changes how you look at it. Those smooth, seemingly effortless throws. There's so much calculation and principle underneath.
Precisely. It's efficiency personified when done well. Hopefully this gives you a new lens, maybe, a judo lens for looking at movement, force, balance, maybe even beyond the mat.
That's a great point. So the final thought for our listener. Thinking about these principles, balance, force, using momentum, even yielding to gain advantage. How could you apply a judo mindset to a challenge in your own work or life?
Yeah, where could understanding the underlying dynamics or finding that serenity of mind the book mentions help you act more effectively? Worth pondering.
Definitely worth pondering. And maybe digging into the source itself for more detail on the techniques that caught your interest.
There's always more to learn. It's a deep art and a deep science.